This episode of the Managing Madrid Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped and the Managing Madrid Podcast, they're back in collaboration. So cheers to the new year from our friends at Manscaped, because your resolutions shouldn't be the only things that are well kept. 2024 is a time for new heights, new opportunities, and a new look for your Times Square balls. Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're looking to maintain a trim or go for that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Trusted by over 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code Managing Madrid for 20% off and free shipping. Happy New Year and happy new balls. Matt Wiltse, with Manscaped back, as our listeners know, the OG listeners know, that when we worked with Manscaped a couple years ago, we always gave out a Manscaped Man of the Match award. And it goes to the player who manscaped the most before the game, and therefore, because of his manscaping, had the best performance. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Matt. Who is today's Manscaped Man of the Match?
Drum roll, please. The Manscaped Man of the Match is Brahim Diaz. Came up big with a goal, was very influential in all the attacking play. And so tonight, I think he was one of the major standouts.
Congratulations, Brahim Diaz. Hopefully the first of many Manscaped Man of the Match awards. Listeners, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Managing Madrid at manscaped.com, because nothing says Happy New Year like a deal that leaves your balls and your budget feeling refreshed. Embrace a new you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer courtesy of Manscaped. All right, with that important stuff out of the way, we are talking about Real Madrid 3, Arandina 1 on a Saturday night. I can't remember the last time, if any time, we've done a Copa del Rey post-game show on a weekend, but such is the schedule right now. We got out of the way, Matt, one of the most difficult games of the entire year, the round of 32. Copa del Rey away game against the 10th division side. They all just got off work. They sharpened their knives and their swords. They took to the field that was also butchered. And I got to say, a comfortable win. I did not expect that.
Yeah, it was, I think you set us up nicely there. And I think we had a fun lineup to start it off. I mean, you had Nico Paz, you had Arda Güler, obviously getting his debut at long last. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about him. Vinicius Tobias, Alvaro Carillo, all these guys in the lineup. So it was fun. It was exciting. Camavinga coming back from injury. So there was a lot of things that kind of piqued your interest. So maybe for those who were on the fence, once they saw the lineup about watching this game, and then once they saw the lineup, they're like, oh yeah, I'm all in. And I think that was most people. I think it piqued everyone's interest to see how all these young players did. And it was, I think, first half, there were glimpses of certain things. And then second half, Real Madrid put it to bed. And like you said, it was comfortable.
Yeah. So just to refresh everyone's memory, especially if you're new to this podcast, you just started listening to this season. But even if you're one of the OG listeners, you know that once a year when we do the round of 32 Copa del Rey post-game podcast, we don't really jump into too many details. We don't do our usual tactical breakdowns. I've said this in the past. Games like this are often less telling than preseason games. Like it's just one of those games where you just go in, get the job done, and hope to see some performances from the younger players that you don't normally see. Obviously, the biggest talking point heading into this was Arda Güler finally on the field for the first time in an official Real Madrid game. He didn't even play those friendlies back in preseason. This was much anticipated, Matt. There was part of me that was a little worried in that, oh man, physically, is this the right game to play him in? But, no matter what, you can find an excuse to be like, well, maybe this game isn't ideal or this game is not ideal. We all really just wanted to see him play. And I think we should start there. Maybe you can talk about his role. That's something I was curious about when I saw the starting lineup on paper. Okay, you see Nico Paz, you see Brahim, Camavinga's on the field, and you have Arda Güler. Where is everyone going to play? And I'm curious to know what your interpretation of his role was.
Yeah, it was actually almost difficult to nail down his role just because he floated around so much. He had almost complete freedom. And I mean, you saw, I think his first few touches were basically from a right back spot. And he tried to stay towards that right half space. I think Brahim hedged more towards the left and Nico Paz more towards the right. And so Güler had kind of that diamond roll, a little bit more freedom roll off of Joselu. But he did stay more towards that right flank. And so then he had the opportunity to really just kind of show his stuff and show what he could do. And I thought, for a guy 18 years old, he's been out of the game for 7 months, and he was just so impressive. I thought he was the best player on the field in the first half. And I know you're probably surprised I didn't give him the Manscaped Man of the Match award.
That's why I think it was gonna go. I thought it was gonna go to, yeah.
I think if he was on the pitch for longer, probably it would have. But I just think you saw so many little details, and I think there's been so much hype, and I myself have been a little bit worried about like all the hype, but at the same time, it's been exciting. You see these little training clips, and you're like, oh wow, he does look special, and then you get the full glimpse tonight. It's 60 minutes, and there were definitely glimpses, and he does look special. Like, it looks like we have a talent on our hands, and it's one game against the Segunda side, but you hear Carlo talking about him. You hear Modric, Cruz, Joselu after the match today. Bellingham talked about him as an up and coming. Like, there's a reason for that, and I think some of the hype tonight I think we're just more and more excited to see him, and I'm excited to see him play on a better field with better players. I think he'll perform. He's one of those guys that, like, you can just see if he can connect with better players, he's going to be lights out.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm more than okay with Brahim getting your Manscaped Man of the Match award. He had a hand in all 3 goals, and he really picked it up as the game went on. I think the whole Arda Güler discussion needs to be put into context. I think a lot of if you go back and watch Arda Güler's performance, like his highlight comp from this game, that was released, by the way, like almost at the final whistle. It was ready to go. People had it ready. All of Arda Güler's touches in his Real Madrid debut. When you watch it, there's a couple things. It's not this mind-blowing masterclass or anything of that sort. And so I think there was part of me that was like, okay, some of this hype is a little bit too overblown. But I actually sympathize with the people who might take the hype too far in a game like this. And this is why I say that. We were really just desperate to see him play on the field. We were all really excited about it. And even though he wasn't, Zinedine Zidane versus Brazil in World Cup 98, he was just really good, really intelligent. Touches were silky, playing vertically, kept it simple, efficient. He wasn't overcomplicating plays. I really enjoyed the fact that I felt like each touch kind of got better, and as he got more comfortable, there was one, when we're talking about his role, there was one sequence that pretty much encompassed it, what he was doing today. He drops deep in between the center backs, gets the ball, plays it ahead to, I think, Camavinga, and goes from the deepest midfielder on the field to making a run into the left half space. Didn't get the ball, but he's just roaming and trying to find openings. I do think, as much as I love Nico Paz, I think he had a poor game. If he had someone a little bit better to link up with in the right half space, he probably would have done more damage. I mean, he had 2 passes to Nico Paz, one of them nearly an assist. He also had another one. I don't know if you remember, but one of my favorite plays that he had actually was just very subtle. It was in transition. He gets the ball in stride and plays a one-touch volley through ball to Nico Paz.
Oh, it was Nico Paz?
It was Nico Paz, because afterwards Nico Paz cuts in and shoots way over the bar. And Arda Güler then checks right, waiting to get the ball back and peeling off the shoulder, and doesn't get it back. He gets frustrated at Nico Paz. I love the touch in transition. It was just a one touch to set Nico Paz free on the break. I just really enjoyed the simplicity and the composure that he played with. And you can kind of tell if he's just going to be around better players and, you know, different game states, he's going to be really fun as he gets more comfortable on the ball.
I think that word there, fun, is one of the key words because it's just fun to watch him. Like he's pure
he's got a
entertainment.
bounce.
He's so silky. Yeah, I think we're gonna hopefully, knock on wood, be able to enjoy this player for a long time. And I think I'm happy he's like, I was thinking about this after the game. I was skeptical of his signing in the summer because I remember thinking to myself, we have Nico Paz and we had Sergio Ribas who can't even get any minutes. Like why can't we trust those guys? Like we're bringing in this kid that nobody's heard of until a week ago. And then you start, like, I feel like after today, you kind of start to understand why Real Madrid and Barcelona were fighting over him. Other big clubs, I think Arsenal or some of the Premier League clubs were involved. Like you understand it now. And because he is just a different talent, he point end, like end of point, he is a different type of talent. And I think I'm really happy that he ended up with us, not only because I'm a Madrid fan, but because I think we'll do right by him in terms of not what Barcelona does in terms of burning out all their young players. Like I think Carlo has been very persistent about using the word patient and taking care of him and step by step. And even Joselu after the game today said, "Hey, he's a gem, and we're gonna make sure that we surround him and put the right and take care of him." And I think all those things are really important. And the nice thing is this team has done well enough at the start of this year that they aren't going to rely on an 18-year-old and put all this pressure on him and like need him now. I think he'll have a rotational role, and I think he'll have kind of impact substitute minutes and here and there. And I think that'll be perfect for him for that first season. And then hopefully over the next few years, we can really see him start to blossom. I think he'll fill out his physique and kind of get used to this higher level football. But right now, I mean, this was fun. It was fun, like you said.
I think part of the reason why I was more excited about him, it wasn't just the training clips. The training clips you can see. I mean, any good player will have cool. If you put together a compilation of his training clips, like, oh, this guy's good. But with him, it was the praise that everyone gave him. Like when Carlo put him in a short list of 2 players with Buffon of players who have impressed them at that age. That was like, wow. I mean, that's I mean, think about all the players that Carlo Ancelotti has coached, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm curious to know where he fits. I care little about Arandina, to be honest, and what happened in this game, but I'm curious to know where he fits. And if we're talking big picture stuff, I'm kind of wondering, based on pure merit, as much as I love the guy, I don't think Ceballos has had a very good year since coming back from injury. And you think about Brahim Diaz, who has earned more and more minutes as the season has gone by. Lucas and I were kind of talking, like bouncing it off of each other, like could Brahim play in a deeper role even? But now obviously like there's a whole different discussion with Arda Güler. If he continues, and all Carlos said today was after the game, the only thing that he needs to work on is his physicality, which is obviously it's his first game back, so obviously. So let's just assume, for argument's sake, every game he gets physically stronger, he gets more and more match fit, and he picks up the ball at a really good pace. He's an intelligent footballer. He knows where to move. He could play in deeper positions. Right now, if Rodrigo, Bellingham, and Vinicius are the starting front 3, and Brahim is the first guy off the bench, where does Güler fit in all this? Like, there's a lot of players there. Does Ceballos is Ceballos one that might take a backseat if Güler can play a deeper role? Then obviously you have the endless Modric, Camavinga, Cruz, Fede list of young midfielders.
Yeah, I think it would depend on game state, because I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but I don't know if Güler has the engine to be a two-way midfielder, or how he is defensively. Like, we really didn't get to see any of that tonight. And so I think it would depend on game state. Like, if we're chasing something, then maybe Carlos says, okay, I'm going to throw Brahim and Arda Güler on with Vinicius and Bellingham, and maybe he takes out Rodrigo, but takes off a midfielder, and Arda's part of that. And so, and if we're losing a game, maybe he thinks, or sorry, winning a game, maybe he thinks more control and a two-way presence with Dani Ceballos might be a better option. So I could see that. But like, if you think about it with how we've been playing more recently, this may obviously be different. We'll see how Carlos shifts things once everybody's back and that we have a healthy midfield. But we've been playing basically 4-4-2 and left midfield, right midfield, a little bit inverted, advanced number 8s. Like, that's perfect for Güler. And even Brahim and him could come in at the same time, and like Brahim takes out Rodrigo and Güler takes out whoever was playing on the right. So I do think there's enough spots for him in the formation for him to be one or two off the bench if he earns that.
I mean, can we talk about player comps for a sec? So in the summertime, it was a lot of Ozil, some Messi. I brought up Di Maria at some point as someone that he kind of looks like, an inverted Di Maria. I kind of saw someone today, and I don't know if this occurred to you at all, but I saw a bit of Guti.
I still think Ozil is the closest for me. He's just like a taller Ozil.
Yeah.
More lankier Ozil.
We kind of said that about Odegaard too. We were like, he's kind of a faster Ozil.
Yeah, I mean, Odegaard's honestly the other one he kind of reminds me of. A little, he's even taller than Odegaard.
I think it was the height that Güler and Guti was tall. And I think it was just the way sometimes he picked up the ball today and carried himself. It reminded me of a little bit of Guti. So my notes on Güler were basically probably the same as your. I mean, I think I closed my tabs.
What do you think of the free kick and the whole discussion with Ceballos? I was like, wow, 18 years old and he's taking it off of him. Like, he wants it, he's taking it, and then he hits the post.
I mean, good on him. I think the free kick was impressive to me because if you look at where the placement was, it was kind of more logical for Ceballos to take it because it was the right foot of Ceballos from that angle. Unless you were going to cross it with Güler's left foot, I definitely did not expect Güler to shoot. And he hit it so well, and that's not an easy free kick to hit with your left foot. That's what impressed me about it. So I'm intrigued now to see what he can do with more set pieces.
I saw something on Twitter. I didn't see this on the broadcast, but I saw something on Twitter that he apparently was trying to take the penalty kick too from Joselu.
Look, man, I mean that would even take more balls because penalties are predetermined.
Yeah. 18 years old. I mean, and Carlo talked about it after the game. He said his mentality and his character, like, that's something too that you need at Real Madrid, and he has that. So that was probably what surprised me the most from his performance. Was like, oh, I didn't know he was like this type of character where he wants it all. Like, he believes in himself. Like, he knows he's really good.
Well, it's funny because he kind of came across as a shy kid in his pregame, in his presentation at the beginning of the season. Seems to just have a different persona on the field, like so many people do. So many artists, when they get into their zone, they're different people. They become performers.
And I saw this report, and I don't know how accurate this is. I don't remember where I saw it. This may be folklore, but I saw something where it said he had asked Florentino to pay like a little bit more to Fenerbahce prior to his transfer just so like they would get enough or something along those lines. But like he actually went to Florentino and told him to pay a little bit more to Fenerbahce or something like that. Again, kind of going to show that like, okay, you just got transferred to Real Madrid, like you don't want to put anything on the line, but you're so confident in yourself that you go and ask Florentino to pay a little bit more.
There was a fluidity to him in the game also that I wanted to mention. Just the way he roamed naturally. And I mean, obviously, like there is some synergy just in the sense that, he's practicing with these guys every day, even though he wasn't playing. And so they got to know him. He got to know the team. But by all accounts, today was a mishmash. It wasn't like a team you would expect to be synergistic. And I actually would argue it wasn't anyway. But I thought he himself looked comfortable. And you can't say the same about Nico Paz today, who has also trained with the team regularly. Granted, Nico Paz may be a little bit different for him because he was playing mostly with Raul's team rather than the A team. But this level of opposition shouldn't be difficult for Nico Paz, who, I mean, they play similar level opponents with Castilla, and also Nico Paz has played in the Champions League. So I don't know what it was with him. I don't know if it was nerves, maybe just an off night. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm excited to see Güler with Jude, with Vinny, with Rodrigo. I think that would be really fun to watch. And we didn't get to see him close it out, obviously for match fitness reasons, but I'm excited to see more. Oh, the other thing we should mention is quite a lot of right-footed actions. He had 2 shots with his right foot, and then he had that cross to Nico Paz with his right foot as well. That was something I didn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, good point. And I think it was unfortunate that he didn't have the opportunity. Like I even wanted him just to see him be closer to Brahim and connect with Brahim a little bit more. He was kind of stuck. He obviously hedges towards that right side, and it was more often than not Vinicius Tobias and Nico Paz who he was trying to connect with. And like you said, Nico Paz surprisingly poor today. I agree with you. I didn't really like his performance. And yeah, of all the Castilla guys, I actually think he was probably the worst.
He was the worst. I mean, Vinicius Tobias had weird moments too, but he had a couple good moments. Like you could see raw athleticism, verticality, but he also had some shocking giveaways as well. Yeah, but you could see something. Yeah. That was like largely the Vinicius Tobias experience. Like when he first arrived at Castilla was just some bad decisions, but you could see there was something there. And so I think he's pretty raw still, but you could kind of see if he fleshes out some of the mistakes, then he could develop into something. I don't think Carillo was really tested enough for us to really make an assumption on him either way. We know that he's one of Castilla's better center backs. Arandina had they virtually had 0% possession. I think at one point when I checked, it was 16%. I was shocked it was even that high. It probably went up a little bit at the end when they were trying to attack. He wasn't tested much. I thought on the ball he was hit or miss too. A couple of really bad giveaways that were unpressured. But the other one I'd be curious to see Arda next to and get synergy with is Fede. Fede on the right, because they both move so well in that right half space and get open for each other. They both have the technical ability and the vision to pick that pass and link up with each other. Carvajal too, an outlet for Carvajal to play around with. It's going to be fun. I think we have a really interesting future ahead of us with him. All right, I'm going to leave it up to you where you want to go from here.
Yeah, I mean, just closing out the Castilla focus, I guess. I thought Carillo was pretty good. I liked him. I didn't think, like you said, he didn't have that much of a test, but I saw enough from him where I thought to myself, like, hey, if it's springtime, we need heavy rotations. Like, could you throw him in there with Nacho? I think yes. And so, that for me was encouraging, and that's what I wanted to see. And I think it was a little bit like the true test tonight was would Carlo actually start a Castilla center back next to Nacho? Because that would tell us if he ever would even consider it in La Liga. So he did, which is great.
Well, that one we knew he was going to, because he said that in the post game. Carillo, I thought the couple times he was tested. Like, there was one sequence in the second half, and again, this was during an ultra rare Arandina counterattack. Fran Garcia gets beat, Nacho comes over, Nacho gets beat, and then Carillo comes over all the way to the left side and clears the danger. So that was a nice moment for him. Do you on that, Arandina scored at the end, obviously. I feel like that was inevitable, that we would concede at least one goal, because that's what happens every year at this stage, at least. Fran Garcia just got bamboozled on that play. Turned inside out. I think Ceballos got cooked first, and then Fran Garcia got cooked, and then the ball goes in off of Nacho. So congratulations, Arandina, on a goal they'll never forget.
So this may be overly harsh, and you and I'm sure many others probably may not agree with me, but I've been really, really underwhelmed and disappointed with Fran Garcia so far. Like, I don't see it with him, even against Mallorca. Like, I didn't see it. The recent games, I feel like he's had maybe two good games, and even then, like, I don't know.
Union Berlin was good, I thought.
Yeah, but other than that, I need to see a lot more before I'm convinced. And I'm a guy who was a proponent of Fran Garcia over even Miguel Gutierrez.
Yeah, you had him over Miguel, I remember.
Yeah, and so I feel like, I don't know if it's the weight of the shirt. Like, I kind of get, I don't know. I just think I feel like he's playing within himself, and I just been really, really underwhelmed.
I think he's been better as the season has gone on. I think at the beginning it was a lot of nerves, and I think there's been a lot of games where you see the good and the bad. Remember that, what was that game at the beginning of the season where he had a poor first half, and then the second half he had 2 assists? So, and that, like, I think during Mendy's latest injury, he's been largely okay. He's been fine. He's been good. And today, I mean, I don't know. I kind of go into these games not really analyzing it too much. Again, like I said, just curious to see certain things. But on that sequence, he got cooked pretty bad. And I think at Rayo, he was better defensively than what we've seen from him this season.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but he was fine defensively at Rayo. Like, he was good. He was more known for his attacking, but his defense was fine.
Remember his game against Barcelona in the Camp Nou where he had to defend Dembele 1v1 a bunch of times, and he did really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know he has it in him, but I just haven't seen it.
I mean, I remember even being at Vallecas during that game last season, Rayo, when Rayo just destroyed Real Madrid. Remember? Like, we were paralyzed. We couldn't do anything, and he was immense in that game. So I chalk some of it up to nerves, and I'm okay with being patient with him. I think he's been fine during Mendy's injury. Joselu scores the penalty with great conviction. That's nice to see. We haven't seen any of our players do that this season. And absolutely skying a point-blank chance in the 82nd minute.
And he had that other one that he hit with his left that I think just went wide of the near post. Other than that, he wasn't, I don't know, it's kind of what you know with Joselu, though. He's not going to be actively involved in link-up play or anything like that. He's going to be a vulture inside the box, and he's going to wait for his opportunities, and he'll have the odd flick here or there to connect play, but for the most part, he's not going to have a bunch of touches. And so, I thought it was a fine performance from him, like nothing to shout home about, but at least he did get a goal. I was happy with the goal scores. Like, Brahim continues his good run. Yeah. Joselu gets one back and Rodrigo gets another one. So that was good. That was good to see. You obviously want Arda Güler to get one, but everywhere else, like, I thought it was a good night on that front.
Joselu still can't do anything outside the box. I mean, he had one today where it was a 4-on-1 attack. It was a transition opportunity. Fran Garcia is flying down the flank on his left and just ignores him and just gives it away. It could have been a breakaway. Um, I I like Brahim in this game. I think he was a little bit quiet in the first half. Second half, obviously, he wins the penalty. His dribbling and turns were good all game, as they always are. His pressing is good. Um, First half, he probably could have cut back for an assist, with the one where he shoots from an acute angle and actually nearly goes in. Camavinga, there was some concern about his health because he had a back niggle. Like, he went to the locker room straight with the doctors. Carlos said after the game he's fine, nothing to worry about, which was a relief to hear. He was, I mean, I felt like he was kind of coasting for some of this because he was like, it's not often you see Eduardo freaking Camavinga playing against a team like Arandina. Like, I don't know what to expect, but every time he got the ball, they had no idea what to do with him. He would just drive through and they're like falling off him, trying to foul him, trying to stop him. One thing I would have liked to see is in the first half, and again, this means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Who cares? But they were playing really narrow, and there wasn't really much happening for us offensively unless Güler was on the ball trying to find someone, or Camavinga or Brahim driving through and trying to carry the ball through traffic. So I would have liked to have seen more of that in the first half, but ultimately it didn't matter. Once we got one, it was inevitable that we would get 2 or 3 at least. And we did, and it could have been more. I mean, once Rodrigo was in the game, we had so much space that, I'm kind of surprised that it was capped at 3, but again, who cares?
Yeah, and I think Camavinga, obviously what you're looking for in this game is just that he's fit and that he looks back to his kind of himself and the knee not an issue. And I think he did look that it did look that way. So that was good. And he had some really nice dribbling sequences, like you said. Like he couple just sold the foot, get out of pressure, and beat 2 or 3 guys. Brahim, man, those you mentioned the turns, like that's what he does so well. Like he did, obviously, he scored his wonder goal with one of those turns, but like he just the way his center of gravity is so low to the floor that he can just turn guys so easily. And he did that at Milan. We saw it all the time at Milan, and that's why I think Pioli played him as a number 10 primarily, because he could turn in between the lines. And I just love what he does that, because as soon as he gets turned, he's gone. Like the defender can't get back on the other side of him. And so that's what you want to see. And these types of games too, where they're so compact, they're so physical, they're really narrow, like you said. Those types of turns just free up, like can completely open up different avenues for your team.
Alvaro got a cameo, rare cameo. Who would have thought? I mean, last year when he was coming in against Atletico, scoring goals at the end on his cameos, getting an assist here and there, going to the under-20 championships with Uruguay and dominating that, a year later, we forget about his existence because he hasn't been the same with Castilla, hasn't been performing well. Comes in today. I mean, I don't know what he did. He did have that header. Who was it? Was it? I can't remember who crossed it. Maybe it was Mario Martin. I can't remember. Someone crossed it into him, and it was a good chance.
I think it was Carrillo, because Carrillo was right back at that point.
Was it Carrillo? Okay, so
I think so.
Cross comes in. It's a good chance for him, and he just kind of heads it over the bar. I mean, I don't have much else on him.
I thought Mario Martin actually looked good though when he came in.
I love that. I love him. He's one of my favorite in La Fabrica right now.
Well, Fun Carlo to watch. Loves him. Carlo has always talked about him and rated him very highly. And I think he played well both at center mid and center back. He had that one pass with the outside of his boot to, who was it? I think it may have been
Rodrigo, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was from the center back position. And then even when he was playing center mid, like I like how he kind of orients his body and make sure that he's always playing the front foot on his pass and stuff like that. Like you can tell he's got small little details. He's a very tidy, like efficient player. And so I thought he had a good little cameo in there.
Yeah, big fan of Mario Martin. I'm gonna flip through here, do a quick note dump, but I think we got
What do
everything.
you think of Ceballos? Because I've seen like
Yeah,
very different takes on his performance.
I thought it was underwhelming. I mean, he had one really nice pass that I can remember down the line to Fran Garcia early in the first half. I thought his passing overall wasn't great. His set pieces were not great. Wasn't a huge fan of his performance, but do you have
Yeah,
something different?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people really down on his performance. I thought it was fine.
Hmm.
And I think there's times, especially in these types of games, where I think he tries to do too much. Like he's just trying to run back and forth and touch the ball as many times as he can, and instead of just maybe holding his position. Um, but yeah, I thought like at least he was a guy you could trust deep on the ball to like try and play some vertical passes, try and slip things through, keep possession. And so from that perspective, like I thought his performance was fine. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I didn't think I see a lot of people just coming down on him. I didn't think it was that type of performance.
I think the Ceballos criticism is within context. Maybe. Actually, I don't know if this is true or not, but for me anyway, it's more I just know he's so much better than what he's given us this season. And early on, I think it was more of like the return has a little bit to do with the fact that he's just coming back, but we've seen he's had enough games under his belt now that I kind of want to start seeing the Ceballos from last season, the year before, those off the bench Champions League cameos that were so important in that run in 2022. Last year, I thought he was fantastic. You remember that Villarreal game, the comeback in the
Oh
Copa
yeah,
del
that
Rey?
was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, we know he has more in him, and I think we just want to see more.
yeah,
Did you see? I mean, this was wholesome. Bellingham giving the blanket to the ball boy.
yeah, yeah.
My my cousin had sent me an Instagram reel today, and it was like a compilation of Jude just being wholesome, like whether it was putting his arm around Joselu, telling the Burnabout to cheer him on, or helping Vinicius back up after like the 10th vicious tackle he was enduring. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, this guy's like the most likable superstar we've had. I don't know if he's number one, but but he's definitely up there in terms of just likable superstars. I mean,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
I mean, I remember when we got together for preseason, like everybody was over the moon with him.
Yeah,
And you were telling me, yeah, like all the journalists love him, like
yeah.
everybody loves him.
And
And
that's so rare for someone who doesn't speak Spanish.
yeah, yeah. Um, and you see, I mean, he's just a guy that doesn't always think about himself. Like he thinks about others, and he's just a good guy. And at the end of the day, he's just a good guy. And um, he can get into it on the field, and he can have moments and stuff like that, like any player. And he definitely, you've seen his temper flare a little bit, but he's still, I mean, that's nothing compared to what we've seen and what he could be given how good of a player and how much of an ego he could have. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's
And
I don't
and
think
he's
there's
the
anyone who
most
doesn't
fouled
love him.
player in the league. I mean, he has every reason
Yeah,
to bark back.
yeah. And everything he says, like in regards to Real Madrid, like it just makes you're just so proud as a fan because he's like, it's a privilege to wear this shirt. I'm honored to be here. Not many players get this chance. Like he recognizes where he's at and what a big club it is, and like he says all those things you want to hear as a fan. And so we eat it up, and it's rightly so. Like
Yeah.
it's great.
And he's done his homework. Like he
Yeah,
knows about the club's history.
yeah,
There there was some people talking about the camera angle. I I mean, if you watch Castilla regularly, you're used to
yeah,
this. Even or Real Madrid Femenino, it's the same. It's like pretty much pitch side. But it was funny because like when the ball would go over to the far side, like if Fran Garcia got in the first half, it's like I couldn't see what was happening. Like I wasn't sure if it was just me, maybe I need glasses, but it just felt like so far away. Like the ball was just like this little dot, you couldn't really see. And then in the second half, it was the inverse. It was when um when it was Vinicius Tobias on that side getting the ball. Like I had no idea what was going on.
Well, these games always give me more appreciation and kind of more perspective on just how hard it is for Castilla, because like look how much like these guys get up for. Obviously, like Arandina, this is the game of their life. So of course they're going to be up for Real Madrid. But it's the same thing. Segunda, like they know they're playing against Real Madrid. They know they're playing against Castilla, and they probably think to themselves, "Oh, these kids who are with their Gucci bags and whatever." So I'm sure they get up for those games, and like look how difficult it is, and look at the pitches, and look like it's not easy, and so that's why Segunda is just a slog, and like we know how, and I think it always just puts it in perspective when the first team has to play games like these. You're like, okay, wow. Now think about Castilla doing this week in, week out.
Yeah, I often feel like those Castilla games, the opponent has an inferiority complex where they're just going into it like, okay, we're older. We didn't make it. We don't play the sport full time. And these kids are just like 16 and playing for Real Madrid. Who do they think they are? And they overcompensate they go in with heavy, heavy challenges. And that's why it's not always easy. Like, that's why it's like, it's just always more enjoyable to see these guys at a higher level. Like, you think what Vinicius getting the shit kicked out of him now. You remember, like, I remember being at that derby, the Madrid derby against Castilla, where Vinicius got bit in the head.
Yeah.
After scoring 2 golazos. It was nuts. It's pretty crazy down there.
Well, even like
divisions.
Think back when like Odegaard and Valverde were in Castilla, and like they play on these like super muddy pitches, and like you could still see the quality, but like it was hard for them because it's just it is what it is with those games.
Yeah. All right, man. I don't think I have anything else on this game. I don't know if you do, but if you do, speak now or forever hold your peace.
No, I think that's it.
I did want to just invite everyone. So today, this is the last game before the Spanish Super Cup in Saudi Arabia. So on Wednesday, January 10th, we play against Atletico in the Spanish Super Cup semifinals, which means potentially, and I don't know if people forgot about this. I certainly did, that there might be a Clásico coming up if we win and Barca win. There's a potential Clásico coming up soon as well. But in the meantime, the Atletico game, the semifinal, that post-game show is only for members. So if you want access to that, please go over to patreon.com/Managing Madrid. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just hit the memberships tab on YouTube instead, if you like. Go into the same place. So just wanted to give a heads up. So if you guys are eagerly awaiting on Wednesday night, like, where's the post-game show? Where's the post-game show? It's only for members. And on that note, we wanted to give some shout out to our patrons over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid, because if you pledge $10 or more per month, not only do you get access to our entire back catalog plus all the bonus shows we do throughout the week, you also get guaranteed responses to your questions, and you get a specific shout out on the podcast. So shout out to these patrons who pledged $10 or more per month: Daniel Smith, Primo Ramtin Maghrur, Bella Chow, Adam Dorsey, Adar Zalukovic, Azaz Hussein, Alex Perez, Alex Thyberg, Alexandria McCaskill, Ananya Kumar, Andres Silvestre, Anthony Tharp, Armando L, Armand Gashi, Armash, Arnab Mukherjee, Brandon Stevens, Brendan Powers, Carlos Fuentes, Christian Acosta, Christian Toft, Connor McMorrow, Daniel Williams, Deadpool Lover, Eloy Enriquez, S.A. Davisito, Fabian Moreno, Frederick Sunros, Frederick Rantakiro, Gary Kohut, Graham Gerard, Ian Marley, Jacob P., Jason Fitz, John Fernandez, Jose Cruz, Jose Osorio, Kevin Rivera, Khalfan Alkabi, Kunal Tilakar, Leon Stavronakis, Logan Stahl, Magnus Lex, Martin Ridman, Matthew Atkins, Marin Myrtle, Michael Zinberg, MJ Diego, Naveen Babu, Ramesh Babu, Endaba Halambangana, Nelson Mazariego, Nick Ribeiro, Nicholas Moeller, Oscar Barrera, Paulo Fierro, Peter P., Phoenix, Rishi D, Sai Mohan, Sasi Kumar, Samar Z, Samuli Justin, Santos Solorzano, Sergio Arispe, Sheikh Hatiri, Somanshu Singh, Sujai Wani, Sushank Damala, Tahmid Kalam, Tobias Arroyo Botcher, Wamik Jamal, Wasim Haddad, Will Sousa, Willie Reed, and Brandon Alvarez. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Matt, thank you, my friend, and hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Listeners, thank you, and we'll see you around. Peace out.